name is Ashton Morris, and today I'm recording a workthrough of how I like to take an export of my song, slice it up into separate little sections, and play it on a drum sampler within that song. If you want to see a short explanation of how I do this, then watch this video. If you want to see the process in action, then keep watching. Okay, so what I have here is a verse from a song I wrote for a recent game. It sounds like this. And we have the drums here. What we're going to do is mute the drums so we just have the melodic elements. And then I'm going to export this time selection, which is just one bar. So now at the bottom, I have my song without the drums. So I'm going to take this selection and make sure the grid is on something good. Okay, so we have eighth notes here, which is good. I'm going to hit split on grid. And now it's going to split the whole thing up into eighth notes, which would sound like this. Okay, so I've batch converted these, which is basically just exporting them all. I can open an instance of Battery 4, which is my favorite drum sampler for things like this. I'm dragging them in here. So now, it sounds like this. So now that I have my Battery 4 set up properly with all the samples of the song that we're working on, I took some time to drag in two samples from Splice, two drum loops that I really like. And the second one. Together they sound like that. Now we're going to be transitioning from the main song with drums, so I'll unmute that, into this. Sounds pretty cool, but I think I'll do add just a reverse Indian bell real quick, because I like that for this type of sound. I'll just reverse this and drag it right in there. All right, let's hear that. Okay, cool. Before I record anything, I want to turn on input quantize here. That'll make sure that all my notes go in are quantized to an eighth note. So let's just record it together and hear how it sounds. So now they're playing quantized. All right, so let's bounce that whole thing. And we're gonna take one. Now what we're gonna do is redo it, but instead, the great thing about Battery is that you can tune all of your samples down. So we'll tune them all down to an octave down. We'll mute the old take and we'll just start recording and see what we can do with this. All right, we're going to bounce that. We'll write take 2. Then let's try it 2 octaves down. So we'll go to -24 semitones. This might be too much, but we're going to try it. So let's mute the other take, and let's just record this in the flat 2. All right, so we're going to bounce that. So those are all eighth notes, right? So we'll write take 3. Then you can go in the other direction and turn these all up to +12 semitones, so an octave up. Those might sound a little bit too high or a little bit too much, but we can hear how it sounds. Okay, so it sounds pretty in your face, so I'm going to take the level down a bit, and I'm going to add a reverb, which is going to soften it. So let's hear how this is. And for these, I'm just going to draw it in to show you how that would sound. So let's open up a MIDI editor, make sure it's at 16 notes, and let's choose something interesting. So I'm just going to drag this across here. Let's hear how that sounds. Interesting. Okay, interesting. All right, so now let's unmute all these takes. So now we have a total of 4 different octaves. And let's hear how it all sounds together. Hopefully it sounds coherent. We can do some snipping and editing, find the best parts and repeat them. Alright, so I think the lowest take here is a little too intense. So let's just solo that one. Alright, so I think that part was good. So let's isolate that and duplicate it here from the beginning, since I like that part the most, and the beginning didn't sound so great. So now we have this duplicated. Alright, let's hear the second part. That's okay. Let's play that with take 2 and hear how that sounds. No, I like this part here. That was cool. So let's just duplicate that the whole time. So let's duplicate this 4 times. Hear how that sounds. And let's hear it with take 1, which is not any octaves down or up. Maybe we'll mute a couple of these. All right, now let's unmute the one that's an octave up. So I don't think this works. What I think we could do is just draw in some notes here. See if we can find a nice little pattern. Let's keep this going. Alright, so we're getting something nice here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a nice little ending drum pattern here. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, so now let's hear them together as they go into each other. I think I want to duplicate this one. Okay, now that is good. Let's take our Indian bell, make sure it's right on. Let's bring in a reverse snare. And reverse snare helps us sound like we're sucking into a new part. I like to do that a lot. So let's have reverse snare go into this also. There we go. And then let's bring in a kick here. I like to have some parts cut out here. So let's reverse this kick. So let's cut some of these drums out and just get a nice, just a couple parts where it mutes out. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll do another one here. Mute that. It just kind of has like a nice warp effect. Yeah, it's kind of spicy, right? All right, so let's hear the whole thing from the middle of the verse to the end here. All right, let's do a double on the end here. So I'm going to make the grid settings a 16th note. So I can just double this up like so. Then let's create a group, and then let's take a pitch envelope and have it rise up. Just to sound kind of fun at the end. Let's hear how that sounds. There we go. It's kind of rising up. And then we can do a reverse Indian bell or reverse snare on the end of that. If I can sync it up right. And that'll give it a kind of a cool ending. Let's hear that sounds. Woo! Now there's one thing we can do here. So let's take the battery. All right, we'll put, take 4. Now we can even go an octave up, which is going to sound really intense. So we'll take all of our samples and we'll bring them an octave up. So that'll be plus 24 semitones, which is going to be too much. But we can add some delay on it to give it a little flavor. And I think that'll sound better. So let's put on Echo Boy and let's take the feedback up and yeah. And let's just play that and see what happens. Let's raise that. Now it's going to quantize it. Okay, it sounds okay. It could sound a little better, but let's take this whole file and reverse it and hear how it sounds with the delayed reverse. It doesn't sound great, so let's take these and try to sync them up with the original file. See if we can get the kind of the rhythm a little bit more on. I feel like it's off. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so that's good. We can have this rhythm kind of fade in with our drum part here. All right, so let's create a little fade. And let's just delete that. Okay. Alright, pretty good, I think. Maybe we could mute some of these while these drums are doing their little suction sound. Hear how that sounds. Okay. Yeah, let's mute this part here. And that part there. Let's just hear how it sounds. There There we go. Okay, so I think that's really good. Now let's hear it from the middle of the verse in its totality. I'm gonna mute this second one here. Doesn't add anything good to it. All right, there we go. Woo! And there you go. I think I came up with something pretty cool this time. I used this trick twice on my last soundtrack, and I think it's really fun to mess around with. Thanks for watching.